Today will be part 24 to the series Scriptures Often Ignored. And today we're going to be talking about delighting in the law. And which law am I talking about? You're going to see exactly what I mean in just a second. So we're here in Tehillim, or Psalms chapter 1, and we're going to be reading the entire chapter as well as some other helpful scriptures that can help you on your spiritual walk and journey. Now, if you're new to this channel, then you know that we use the restored, set apart Hebrew names for our Father Yahuwah and his true son, the Messiah, Yahusha. And it even says, Baruch der blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. And another way to say that is unyali. And verse 2 says, But his delight is in the law of Yahuwah, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. So let's keep going. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. But the unyali are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the unyali shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahuwah knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the unyali shall perish. And so you may be wondering, well, what is the way of the righteous? And what is the law of Yahuwah? And what is the law that he's talking about of the righteous that the righteous follow? And what is the law of Yahuwah that he expects from us? We're going to go over that and more to come. Because we're also here in Tehillim, or Psalms chapter 119, and we're going to be reading from verses 4 through 6 as well as verse 97. So as you can see in verses 4 through 6, it says, Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all thy commandments. So we see here it's talking about the law, statutes, and commandments. And even verse 1 says, Baruch, they're blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of Yahuwah. Well, when you understand what the law is and what the law is talking about, the law of Yahuwah is the law, statutes, and commandments that are spoken of in the Mosaic law in the first 5 books of Scripture, and what you normally call or commonly call Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That is the law it's talking about. And no, the law is not done away with. Just look at Matthew or Matityahu chapter 5 verses 17 through 20, as well as John or Yahukanan chapter 14 verses 15. And you'll even see that even the Messiah, Yahusha himself, even says that the law is not done away with, and he did not come to do away with the law, but rather to fulfill, and that we are to keep the commandments. That is what it even says. We are to keep his commandments if we love him. And it even says in Tehillim, or Psalms chapter 119, verses 97, Oh, how love I thy law. It is my meditation all the day. And so that's something we else have to keep in mind. That's something that we really have to keep in our hearts and keep in our ruachs, or as you may call the spirit. Is see, it is a delight, it is a privilege to be serving our Father. It is a delight to be walking in his laws, statutes, and commandments. And I know sometimes that can be hard or difficult to see because you're looking at the natural, you're looking at the flesh and how you're enduring all the temptation and the trials and the tribulations. And I understand it's a very lonely walk, and I've done many videos in my Living Righteously and even in this series about enduring and overcoming, and how we are to overcome and endure by following the law, statutes, and commandments. I know it can be tough, and I know temptation can be tough, but even scripture says, resist the devil and he will flee. And when we know, and when we put it in Yahuwah's hands, and when we put our temptation and whatever it is that we're going through in the hand of Yahuwah, we know that he will take care of it, because remember, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. This is something that I'm also working on too. You know, it is a privilege to know our Father's name, Yahuwah. It is a privilege to have that restored unto us. It is a privilege to have the name of the Messiah, Yahusha, restored unto us. It is a privilege to be learning his laws and following his laws. It is a privilege to be doing these things, because even scripture says that it be few that find it, that many are called, but few are chosen. So we just have to remember, and we have to continue to humble ourselves and just know that it is not only a delight, but it is also a privilege and an honor to be serving our Father and to be keeping and guarding and doing his law, statutes, and commandments. And that's why I'm here in Psalms or Tehillim chapter 112, and we're going to be reading from verses 1, because it even says, Praise ye Yahuwah, Baruch or blessed is the man that feareth Yahuwah, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. His seed shall be mighty upon earth, the generation of the upright shall be baraked or blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever. And when it says righteousness, that's of course talking about those who guard and keep Torah, the law, statutes, and commandments that are spoken of in the first 5 books of Scripture itself. And we know in guarding these commandments, there is great reward, as the word of Yahuwah says, and that is what he even promises. But we just have to continue to learn his word and continue to seek his word and get away from all of the lies of religion and all of the lies of Christianity that have told you that the law is done away with, but rather seek Scripture on your own, because that's where you'll find the truth. Because like Scripture even says, seek and you shall find. So we're here in Tehillim or Psalms chapter 63, and we're going to be reading from verses 5 through 7. And it even says, My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips. When I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches, because thou hast been my help. Therefore in the shadow of thy wings will I rejoice. And Scripture even tells us, and Yahuwah tells us time and time again in the Torah itself, that we are what? To keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, and to remember them, and that they are to be written on our hearts and in our minds, and that we are also to guard them as a sign upon our hands and as frontlets between our eyes. And we just have to remember this and continue to do what's righteous and pleasing unto our Father, because we know with that we can never go wrong. And I too am a witness to this, and I hope you're seeing this with both your eyes open, and I hope you're really starting to see the truth and starting to see the truth of our Father. And like I said, if you're looking for more resources on this, I'm going to leave more helpful videos below in the description box so that you can start to see the truth for yourself, and so that you can start to seek Scripture on your own. When we start to seek the Father, that is when we start to find his truth. Now I'm also here in Yeshayahu or Isaiah chapter 58, and we're also going to be reading from verses 13 to 14, and it even says, and the Father's talking about the Shabbat or the Sabbath day, which is the day of rest on the 7th day, and it says, If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath or the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my set apart day, and call the Sabbath or the Shabbat a delight, the set apart of Yahuwah honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahuwah, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Yahuwah or Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahuwah hath spoken it. Now, I've done many videos talking about the Sabbath and the 7th day and the Shabbat, and I will link those videos too so that you can see more about them. I've also done a Scriptures Often Ignored on this, but as we can even see in Scripture itself, when we start to delight ourselves in Yahuwah, and when we start to delight ourselves in the Torah and the law, statutes, and commandments, then we know it's never a burden for us. And yes, it may feel like a struggle at first, and yes, it may seem as though you don't want to do it at all on some days, because we know the flesh is weak, but we just have to know that when we continue to do what's pleasing unto our Father Yahuwah, and when we continue to hold fast unto Yahuwah and know that he will provide and get us through it, then that is where we know that we will find our true salvation, and we will know that his word is in fact true, just as we read here today. Because when we understand the sovereignty of our Father Yahuwah, that is when we start to understand his true word and how his word is true and how he will provide if we follow his law, statutes, and commandments. And as I've said earlier, it's a delight to be laboring for him, to be following his righteous laws, to be following his law, statutes, and commandments, and to be laboring for him. Because just as Scripture says, although the harvest is plenty, the laborers are few. And speaking of that, we're here in Matidyahu or Matthew chapter 9, and we're going to be reading from verses 35 to 38. And as you'll see, it even says here, in Yahusha went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the good news or the gospel of the kingdom, which is the Torah or the law, statutes, and commandments, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his Talmidim or disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore Yahuwah of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. And like I said, I don't know your spiritual walk right now. I don't know your spiritual journey. I don't know what you've been through, but I do know this. I do know that there's a reason that you're watching this video right now. And I also know that our Father would do amazing things if you trust in him and if you put your trust in him, in Yahuwah, and just even try it, because he is the one who will continue to awaken you to truth, just as he have with me and all the others. The others is in those who keep and follow his laws, statutes, and commandments with all their heart of Yahuwah. And sometimes we have to keep this in mind too, that it means the world to us that the creator of heaven and earth, yes, the one who created the heavens, the one who created all the stars and numbered them and named them, the one who created all of the sand of the sea and the trees and the birds and the animals and the fruits and the leaves, the one who created all of these things, it's a pleasure that he has restored his name to us. Not only that, but he's given us his law to follow. It's a privilege and an honor to be following his law and his Shabbat, and to be doing it righteously, and to constantly be seeking him and having that relationship with him. Doesn't that mean the world to you? I don't know about you, but it definitely means the world to me. And for me, I'm constantly reminding myself of that and humbling myself of that, that wow, the Father and the creator of heaven and earth would not only give me his earth, but also breathe life into me, but also show me his truth and continue to walk in spirit and in truth. And that is what it's about. And also worshiping him in spirit and in truth. And that's why I'm here in Luke chapter 10, verses 1 through 3. And it even says, after these things, Yahuwah appointed others 70 also, and sent them two and two before his face into every city and place whither he himself would come. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore Yahuwah of the harvest that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. Go your ways, behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves. And that is the promise of our Father to us, and the promise of his kingdom, and the promise of everlasting life, is that if we continue to keep his word and follow his law, statutes, and commandments, then he will bring us that life, and he will bring us and restore to us everlasting life, not to mention being with him, Yahuwah our Father, but also his true son, Yahushua, the Mashiach, as well as all the other righteous. And that is what we have to look forward to if we keep his law, statutes, and commandments and start to learn the Torah for ourselves. Now, what you're looking at is the Sefer. And what's good about these scriptures, if you're looking for better scriptures and to get away from all those watered down translations, the Sefer itself is a comprehensive restoration of sacred scripture in the English language. But what's also good about it is that not only does it set forth the transliteration rather than a substitution of the names of our Father Yahuwah, his Son Yahusha, and the Ruach HaKodesh, or the set-apart Spirit, but it also restores the Aleph Tav 9,837 times, which have been omitted in other versions and translations. And it even includes all of the 81 books that were previously canonized, including books such as Enoch and Jubilees and Jasher, but it also includes helpful charts and helpful maps that can help you along the way in your spiritual walk and journey, not to mention even 3,100 Hebrew names without substitution. Now, while it's on the pricey side, if you put in the coupon code Truth Unveiled, so if you just put in the coupon code Truth Unveiled without the 777 in your purchase, you will receive 10% off on your purchase. And like I said, the coupon code once again is Truth Unveiled. I will leave all of the helpful information in the description box below so that you can begin your journey into truth and further your walk into truth. And if you would like more music and motivation for your spiritual walk and journey, then I highly recommend Hadar Batya Set Apart Heart. Now, what's good about this is that you will not only find motivation for your spiritual walk and journey, but you will also find good Yahuwah music and good set apart music that can help you along the way, as well as some helpful resources that can help you too, and that can help you further your walk in your spiritual journey as you continue to seek for truth. You can also check out my playlist where you can also find even more helpful resources as well. But hopefully this has been very helpful unto you. This is Truth Unveiled here saying shalom.